So whenever you're dealing with like a major problem, a lot of us try to find ways to resolve it. So like, for example, I'm thinking about like with my kids, having a conversation with my son in regards to dealing with a major problem and not being afraid to confront it and take care of it. Some people will see said problem and they'll stop, think about it, try to find a solution for it, and try to figure out the timeline of getting said solution solved and going forward from there. Some people will run from it, like a little kid. They'll run from the problem and just hope it magically disappears. And some people will go straight head forward into it without any true thought and hope that they can resolve it as they go down the line. Well, the NCAA did not do that. The NCAA decided that we're going to pass this buck and we're going to kick this can down the line as far as possible and just hope that people forget about it. Well, now we're here in the world of the NCAA. What world are we in today? The NIL world, rev share, everything has piled on for the most part over the last couple of years and have really dramatically changed the world. One of the bigger components here is as NIL is taking over, the pay for play thing is just blowing up. Collectives are taking advantage of the opportunities to pay players in whatever ridiculous way they want to. And the NCAA has literally no power. Talked about it with my guy John over Locked On Sooners. You can check out that episode. But one thing that came from my conversation is no matter what the NCAA tries to do, they're going to get sued. Because everything they're trying to do hinders the constitutional right of people to have the opportunity to make money, especially when they're generating billions of dollars for everybody else. And I say this wholeheartedly that I believe players should be paid. If you're a sports generating money, you should get a portion of that. Why? Because these coaches are getting paid ridiculous money to coach these sports. And now they're making more than NFL head coaches. A lot of them. So the NCAA saw this, and instead of saying, you know what, we need to find a mechanism to where the players can be compensated while doing this and we can still make our money. Nope, they're trying to find ways to keep as much money as possible. And so when the House settlement came down and the judge and the $2.78 billion settlement, back pay for like the last 10 years or whatnot, and then players now get a portion of the revenue share. They're capping it at 20-something mil and all of that jazz. I will give you I'm going to break down the details on that on another episode so you guys can get a timeline of what this means. But we're now at the point where the settlement rev shares kicked in. They have the clearinghouse, Deloitte, which is supposed to go through and look at these NIL deals and mark them as good or bad. And it appears that all of the NIL collective deals that are put in there, regardless of price, because the threshold number is $600. Anything over $600 has to be submitted. A lot of them are being denied. And you know what that means? More lawsuits. More change is coming down the line. And so from there, the NCAA has been begging somebody else to fix their problem. So they went to Congress years ago, begging them to fix it, but asking them, hey, if you fix it, we still want to have antitrust rights. We don't want to continue to keep getting sued. We want you to protect us. So here we are. The SCORE Act is out. The SCORE Act. Now, do I, in any way, shape, or form, feel good about this bill? No. I feel like it's just a way to shut everybody up. That's really all it is. Because the House passed it, it's going to the Senate. They're hoping that the Senate will pass this as well. And I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't see it passing. I think it's dead on arrival because what this SCORE Act does is the name of it, the SCORE Act, is the Student Compensation and Opportunity Through Rights and Endorsements Act. So SCORE. So their goal is to reform the student first model, defending Olympic sports. Schools can defend Olympic sports if they really want to. They just choose not to. Shielding athletes from being exploited by bad actors. That's an intriguing one. Establishing clear regulation, authority, and enforcement mechanisms, and improving transparency and accountability to better protect athletes and universities. There's some good stuff in this, but the thing that intrigues me the most is that the empowerment of student athletes with NIL, hiring agents, giving them protection on that, and the bill prohibits pay for play and predatory compensation schemes while reversing appropriate guarantees to agents' access. So their goal is to protect these players while at the same time they're trying to make it to where there are caps and stop stuff. So they want to create a smarter system to allow for like transfer portal stuff, health after graduation or injury for up to 3 years post enrollment, things of that nature. So there's a lot of good stuff and good natured things in here. But here's your problem. A lot of this stuff in this bill and a lot of this stuff is really not geared for the player's benefit. This is more for the NCAA and the corporation's benefit. This is not for the working class people. And I say that specifically because if you try to put a cap on name, image, and likeness, which is your name, your image, and your likeness, basically what free market's willing to pay you, you're just hindering everything else that's going on. The one thing in this bill that I do appreciate that the NCAA just did not have the balls to go ahead and get done themselves is actually having guidelines around the transfer portal or reducing it down to one window. Now, we've heard the conversations have happened numerous times, but the question is, will they ever get to that point? Probably not. But there's one AD out there in college football. Shout out to him, Danny White over there at Tennessee. He's tired of this mess because with this bill, they are trying to make it to where the students cannot be employees at all. Totally understand that's a big it's a can of worms that they don't want to open. But Danny White's not there for it. He's like, it's time to go public, he said at an event, a gathering of athletic administrators at the Orlando World Center Marriott. I've been voicing it in private rooms for 4 years, and I'm not biting my tongue anymore. He put out a presentation about doing collective bargaining. Dun, dun, dun. We're now at that point, folks. We are here where collective bargaining is going to happen. And shout out to Ross Dellinger over there at Yahoo, who had the article up back in end of June, beginning of July. Danny White has been talking about we need to get to a collective bargaining situation with these players and allow for them to bargain the cap based upon everything. And I think he's right. Now, it's a very complicated and complex situation. And of course, a lot of people don't like unions and everything or whatnot. But at the same time, their purpose is to make sure to keep fighting for you. The collective bargaining component of this works, to me, if you can implement it right. And that's where the hard part comes in. Again, I said this is very complex and complicated. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on it. But at the surface level and at the most remedial level of talking about this, they need to figure out a way to have people on a board to be able to collectively bargain this stuff at the top. I guess somebody from each school. And then their job is to negotiate in good faith to put this collective bargaining in place so the players can actually reap the benefits from their athleticism. This is about to change, and this is going to be a fluid situation. We're going to talk about this probably for a long time because it's something to talk about all the time. It's intriguing to see that they're wanting to get this set to where contracts work properly and that the players can get paid, the money can be divvied properly, and they can find a way to save Olympic sports, just like the bill that came from the House is trying to. I 100% agree. I want Olympic sports to survive. The problem is that we don't support Olympic sports until the Olympics come around. That is where you run into your issue. That is where the problems lie. We don't just watch Olympic sports every single week or month or year. We get into it during the Olympics, and that's kind of the thing that makes them so special. It's one of those every 4 years, we get all patriotic and we watch the games. It's a plus. We've got to find a way for them to still be funded similar to how we've been funding it before. Like right now, they're funded off the backs of football and basketball because they're the sports that everybody wants to watch. Some schools baseball. Some schools women's basketball. But football is king. Football is the sport that is funding all of this because it's the one with the most eyeballs. It's the one with the largest contracts. And it's the one that helps with all of that. We've got to find a way to be able to allow that. But at the same time, we need to compensate the players that are bringing in this revenue the most. They're the ones that deserve it the most. Now, there's a model that was created by Danny White. We'll talk about that on another episode because it'll be a long-winded conversation. I think I'll do a video to break it down and what I really feel about it. But let's put it this way. That act, that Scores Act, that bad boy's dead. It's DOA. It's not going to probably make it through. I could be wrong. I may eat crow on it, but I'm going to tell you this. It's going to be tough for them to push that through and actually close it. I don't trust it whatsoever.